I'm Haley B, and today I am discussing my hair loss story and how I got PRP injections to help with hair growth. So this is going to be a really tough story for me to tell today because my hair loss is my number one insecurity. It is the number one thing that I'm self-conscious about. I am typically a very confident person that doesn't get easily embarrassed, but when it comes to my hair, I am so self-conscious about it. So telling this story is a little uncomfortable for me. So to help, we are going to take some shots of tequila first. Got the good old Casadores, and I'm just going to take some shots and tell this story just like we're having a conversation. I hope I don't mess anything up. Shot number one. And how cool are these shot glasses? You don't need salt because it is a salt shot glass. My wedding planner, Susan, got them for me. So if you want to get one, I'll wait on you. Okay. Cheers. Let's do one more. One more, because this is a tough story. Okay, second shot, and then we're done because I haven't been drinking a lot lately, so two and that's it. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me through that. Now I'm ready to tell my story. And I also have some notes with me because I don't want to miss anything. Okay. So I started losing my hair in 2011 when I was 16. I had a very, very bad case of mono. I was in the hospital for about a week with it. I lost the skin on my lips. I was so dehydrated. I couldn't even eat for like a whole week. So it was a really bad case of mono. And I lost about a month after I got out of the hospital, I lost a significant amount of hair from that. And it is common for people who have had extreme illnesses to lose hair after. For example, the people that are recovering from COVID, I've heard that they are also experiencing hair loss. So I had a lot of hair loss. And at the same time, I also traced it back to I had switched birth controls. So I was on one birth control, and I've always taken the pill. And then I switched to a different brand of the pill. And I thought maybe that might have something to do with it, so I switched back. And looking back on it, that birth control pill that I was on may have something to do with my hair loss. But I will get to that. So this happened in about 2011. Then from about 2012 to 2015, I noticed my hair was growing back just fine. So I'm thinking that the hair loss in 2011 was related to the mono. But my hair started growing back. It was never as thick and healthy as what it was when I was growing up. I still had some problems with it and was still kind of insecure, but mostly it was coming back and I was fine. Then in about 2016, I noticed that I started to have thinning on the top of my head. And that's when I became super self-conscious about it because you can't really hide that. So I noticed it first starting back here, and then it moved its way through here. And this was in 2016. So I was feeling really self-conscious about it, but I was still thinking that maybe it was because of some kind of vitamin deficiency, or maybe the birth control I was on, or there was just some reason for it. That was an easy fix. So I went to a dermatologist for my first time, and I had a full body scan, which I now do yearly. Very important if you don't, but I went and it was a bad experience. I don't see this dermatologist anymore, but when I was there, I was really nervous to even talk to her about my hair loss. But then I brought it up and she was like, yeah, I noticed when you came in you had very thin hair. I think that you have androgenic alopecia, which is basically female pattern baldness. And I was just shocked to hear this. I had not considered that I would have something like that. And I was told to try Rogaine. And in that moment, I felt like Regina George from Mean Girls when she's trying on dresses and the lady tells her to try Sears. I felt like I was just pushed under the rug. I was not educated or informed on any choices that I have on hair growth, and I was also not educated on what androgenic alopecia is. I was still unsure if that's really what I had. I did not believe the doctor, and so she did a scalp sample where they took looks kind of like a cookie cutter, but long like a pin, and not too big, but a small circle. And they took a sample of my scalp back here, because at the time that's where it was the thinnest, and they sent it off to be tested. And I got called and they gave me my results that it was androgenic alopecia. And I was totally shocked by it. It took me a really long time to even accept that that is what I have. To this day, I'm probably only 95% convinced that I do have it. It's just my brain trying to protect me and tell me that it's not true. But yeah, I got the results that it was androgenic alopecia. And if you are not familiar with what this is basically, and I'll explain it the way I understand it, and in no way, shape, or form am I a medical professional. I had to do all this research myself, and what I understand is that we produce both estrogen and androgen, and I produce too much androgen, which for some reason makes my hair follicles say, peace out. And it's the same thing that happens in men when they have male pattern baldness, except the difference is that men start receding their hairline while women's hairline goes out like that. And that was super hard to accept that I had that. And I struggled a lot with my hair thinning. As I've said, it is the number one thing that I am self-conscious about, and it was just a really devastating time to feel like I didn't have any options for what I could do. And before you comment stuff in this video on maybe some things that you think I should try, please don't. Just know that I have tried everything. I have tried all the different oils and serums and vitamins and lasers and crazy things, and they just don't work. Maybe for some people they do. I've had maybe just a little bit of success with different ones, but nothing to actually call it successful. But it was really difficult to accept. I mentioned, what if I go off of birth control, would that help? And she said that I should not, because my birth control may actually be helping balance out those estrogen and androgen levels. So I've still stayed on birth control. And side note, recently I tried to go off of birth control, and I was off for 1 month, and I felt amazing. I was so happy to be off. And then my now current dermatologist asked me if my hair had started falling out yet, because she suspected it would because of the androgenic alopecia. And literally that day my hair started falling out, so I got back on birth control. I don't know if that was related to just my hormones balancing back out, or if it really does help regulate the hair loss. But regardless, I'm not currently trying to get pregnant, so I did not feel like it was worth the risk to find out. Okay, but back to the story. So I have tried everything, and it just isn't working. And so during this period was really hard for me because I hated the way I looked. I felt very self-conscious. I cried all the time over it. I just felt very down about myself and would just say like the meanest things to myself. Like, I'm the ugliest person. How could my husband ever find me attractive? Like, I felt like a literal like troll. I did not feel pretty at all, and it was really difficult for me to feel good about myself, especially because you see all these girls out there with beautiful hair, and they say that when you have something that you are really self-conscious about. So for example, if you're subconscious about your teeth, you always notice everybody else's teeth, and you realize how pretty their teeth are, and then it makes you feel worse about your own. Or if you're self-conscious about your skin, you notice other people's skin. So for me, I notice other people's hair, and I just feel like I'm the only person on the face of the planet that this happened to, and why would this happen to me? And it seriously took me until about a year ago to actually accept what had happened, and that it's not at all my fault, and that I am genetically made up for this to happen to, and I am doing everything I can to prevent it and try to reverse what has happened. But at the end of the day, my hair is not my identity, and I just have to remind myself that I'm still pretty, even if I don't have the thickest hair in the room. So it might sound dramatic to people who have not experienced hair loss, but it was just a hard time. And when you're experiencing something that you're self-conscious about, everything that somebody says to you about that thing impacts you so much. So for example, like, my friends and family have always been so supportive of me during this time. Trent does everything he can to make me feel good about myself and remind me that, you know, I am very pretty and my hair is good looking, even though I look in the mirror and I might not think so. Everybody has been super supportive. Now we are about 2018. I got a halo extension, and if you're not familiar with that, it is a piece of extension hair. It's real human hair, and it's on a plastic rubber band, and you sit it on the crown of your head, and then your hair on top kind of hides it. And that helped a lot. I love my halo, and I wore it all the time, and that was really good for a while. But then my hair started to get healthier, and it just became too heavy. So throughout this time period of my hair thinning, I have gone through a lot of different seasons of my hair. So normally everybody goes through shedding phases in their hair cycle, but what my problem is that I shed my hair. My shedding cycle lasts longer, and I mean, I have lost clumps of hair in the shower for like 4 months at a time, just losing the hair. And my new hair growing in can either A, not keep up, or B, it just does not grow back, period. So that was my problem. So around 2018, I did notice that my hair was becoming healthier. I was actively trying my very best to do everything in my power to improve my hair. So it was helping. And then around that time, I also learned about PRP injections. And I learned about these from Dr. Roxy. She's a plastic surgeon in Columbus, Ohio. I learned about them through her Snapchat. So I learned about them from her Snapchat, and she was posting them on there, and I looked up how much they cost, and at the time I was not able to afford them, so I didn't really think about them too much. And then about 2020 last year, I got my job with Southern New Hampshire University, which allowed me to increase my income and feel more comfortable doing the PRP injections. So I decided in January of 2021, this year, to go up to Columbus and have a consult with the doctor to go over if I would be a good candidate. So a PRP injection is a platelet-rich plasma. injection. And I met with Dr. I think his name is Dominguez from Columbus. He works with Dr. Roxy. He is a surgeon. And we discussed if I would be a good candidate. And I basically told him everything I just told you all. And he examined my head and determined that yes, I would be a good candidate. So he determined this by looking at my hair follicles, and all of my hair from basically here down on my scalp grows in totally normal. As I mentioned, androgenic alopecia, female pattern baldness, only affects the top of your head. So everything else is totally normal. And the top of my head, because I have been very diligent in trying things throughout the year, and also possibly because of the birth control, I have been able to keep majority of my hair. Another thing I want to mention real quick before I forget, back to the birth control. The birth control I was on back when I had mono and my hair started first falling out a bunch, and I can't remember what the birth control name was, but I do think, if I remember when I looked it up, that it had high androgen levels. And it has been researched and thought that females taking birth control with high androgen levels may spark the hair loss to happen earlier in life than what it normally would have. So typically this would not have started happening to me till say 60s, but because I had high androgen levels in my birth control, it caused it to start earlier. I don't know at all if that's true. It's just something I read and I thought that was interesting. All the birth control I've been on since has low androgen levels. But anyway, a thing that the doctor had told me about why I'd be a good candidate is because he explained it like having a box of flowers, and my hair was not missing a ton of hair. It was just missing a few pieces here and there. So he said, think of the PRP injections as like Miracle-Gro. If you have a box of flowers and you only have a couple flowers in there, you can add Miracle-Gro, but it's never going to fill that box of flowers back up. But where I had a pretty good thing of flowers going on, he was able to add the Miracle-Gro, and then it was perfectly fine. And there is not a 100% guarantee that PRP injections will work. But at this point, it was my last choice. And I also need to explain why I won't do Rogaine. Because Rogaine is a very proven way to bring back hair loss for androgenic alopecia, because it uses the ingredient I gotta look this one up again so I say it right, minoxidil. And that is the main ingredient of Rogaine. And that is really all you need. You don't even need to buy Rogaine. I have chosen not to use this because you have to apply it every single day for it to work. I don't want to wash my hair every single day. You have to use it for about a year before you see results. And you cannot use it while, use it for about a year and then you might see results. And then once you start using it, you have to use it for the rest of your life. If you stop using it, you will lose the new hair that you have grown. And you are not able to use it while you are pregnant or breastfeeding. And even though I'm not currently trying to have any babies, I do want to in the future, and I would hate to start the process of getting the new hair and then just lose it all while I'm having babies and then have to repeat the process. I don't think I could mentally handle that. And also, it has been found that people who use Rogaine and minoxidil often grow in really thick, dark facial hair because it moves down through the bloodstream into their face, causing hair growth there as well. So I'm not too interested in that option. So I decided to go try these PRP injections. It's all I have left to try. And I am so happy that I did. I wish that I would have done them sooner. So if you are considering getting them done, I highly suggest that if you have the financial means to do it, go ahead and do it because it is so worth it. I did have the option to put it on like a hair credit card, but I did pay cash for it because I knew I was going to get this done and I had been saving my money to do so. And I paid, which I understand is typically priced this way, $900 a treatment for the PRP, which seems a bit high to me considering I'm supplying the goods. Okay, it's my plasma, it's my blood, and it's $900. But anyway, 900 bucks. And then I also did a protein injection with it, which was kind of like an add-on option, and that cost around $200. So every time I went, I paid about $1,100 for my injections. This was in January that I had my consultation, and he said that, asked me if I was going to get the COVID vaccine, and I was about to get the vaccine, and so he suggested I wait a month after I've had my second one just to make sure my immune system is good to go. So I got my COVID vaccines and I came back in March for my first injection, and I was pretty nervous. I had no idea what to expect pain level wise. Another girl I know is going through something similar, and she had PRP injections done somewhere else, and she said that they hurt really bad. So I was kind of scared, but it honestly really didn't hurt that bad at all. I thought the process was super easy. I went in, they drew my blood, like a giant tube of blood, and then they go spin that down for about 20 minutes to get the plasma, and then they come back in and they numbed my head, and then they injected the proteins, and then they injected my plasma, and then the doctor would just kind of massage the top of my head. And then to finish it, I was wrapped in a super sexy bandage all around here because he wanted to make sure that all the good stuff stayed on top of my head because that's where I needed it. So while he injected me just through here, it's a raindrop effect that it would spread. So he didn't want it to spread down here because I don't need that. So I wore this rubber band that caused major swelling. I was shocked when I woke up the next morning. So he injects everything, I leave, and that night my head swelled up on my forehead. I looked like Jimmy Neutron. Like, I was the smartest person. I had the biggest brain. And you're supposed to keep that bandage on for 24 hours. It came off while I was sleeping that night, so I woke up the next morning and passed the mirror. And you know in a scary movie how sometimes they pass something and then they take a second look and they scream? Well, that happened to me because all the swelling had moved down to my eyes and I looked like the creature from the Goonies. I was so afraid, but at the same time I really didn't care because I knew it would go away. So I wasn't super concerned. I did call though to ask if this was common, and I was told that that only happens basically in like 1 out of 5 people, and I just so happened to be one of those lucky people. So my friend that got PRP injections, she did not have this result at all, the swelling, but I did, and it just made it extra funny. And that happened to me all 3 times that I had my PRP injections. So also back to the pain, it really was not that uncomfortable at all. I would say the worst part about it was the noise, which I hate thinking about, but the sound of the needle going into my head was like a crunching noise. It was not good. I did not like that noise, but ultimately it really did not hurt that bad at all. It was wearing that tight band around my head that hurt the worst. But I did it 3 times, so I did it 1 month apart. In March, April, and May was my last one. But I had mine done over a course of 3 months, and I will not have to go back again at least for a year. So he said because I am young and healthy and I don't smoke and I eat right, that I should not have to come back for a while. He said if I notice my hair falling out a lot or some significant thinning before a year, I can come back sooner than then. But no matter what, I'm going to come back in a year just because I don't want to lose the progress that I have so far. He said a lot of times people my age might make it to 10 years without having to have a touch-up. But I'm not risking it or jinxing anything. So he told me that by August, people would start seeing the difference in my hair. I personally try not to look at it too often because I would drive myself crazy looking at every strand on my head to see if it's growing back. But here is what I've noticed on my results so far. So I started getting this done in March. It is now the end of July, so it has been March, April, June, July, 4 months total that I have been doing this. Like March, April, May, June, July, 5 months. 5 months. I drank too much tequila probably. So 5 months, and I am having incredible results lately. At first I was kind of nervous because one, I really wasn't paying too much attention, but the results weren't coming super quick. And that's something that you need to know, that if you are doing PRP injections, it's not like you get the injections and wake up the next morning with a full set of hair. You have to wait for them to do the job and then produce the hair. Because what it is it's pumping blood, more blood to your head and creating more circulation so you can grow new hair. And then also another purpose of the bandage on my head was to trick my head into thinking that there was trauma. It felt like there was trauma, so it would send more blood up there to produce more hair. So it's all about just increasing your circulation, and then the protein was just to really help the process become more successful, because while doing this I had to eat 75 to 100 grams of protein a day, and that just helped it even more. So I have noticed a lot of growth lately, and I did not fix my hair today, so I can show you just exactly what my hair looks like. So this is my hair. As you can tell, it's not been fixed, and it is naturally very wavy and coarse and frizzy, or not coarse, wavy, kind of curly, frizzy, fine. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just not the best, but I have noticed a lot of growth first in the front here. So I started noticing dark patches on my scalp randomly, and that is where there was new hairs under the surface getting to pop through. And especially in the front here, they have popped through. It is insane the growth I have had. All of this is new, and this is where I've noticed the hair first. So all this is new. And then I also have some new hair on my sides, which I thought was interesting because I didn't know I was missing hair there. So it's hard to look at myself on the camera, but it's all there. Like I have a cowlick now because of it. And then there's just like random chunks of new hair growth that I will find growing out. And I'm really happy with the results. And as I'm talking, I'll make sure I put some pictures on the screen here to show you my hair as I have been growing it out. I've been taking pictures and pictures from the doctor's office. So I'll be sure to share those, and I'm also going to share them in a blog post I am writing, so you can look at all of them there. But I feel like my hair looks really good, and I'm very pleased with it. I'm happy that I got it done. Alright, I gotta wrap this up. My camera's overheating, but I'm really happy with it. I actually went today and made an appointment and put a deposit on some hair extensions that I'm getting, just so I can put them in and kind of fill in where I'm missing some hair still down here while the hair on top grows out. But yeah, I'm super happy with my results so far. I can't wait to continue to track this as more hair grows in, because I can tell that there's a lot more coming. When I rub my hands through my scalp like this, especially last week was crazy. It felt like when the leg hairs grow back in after you shave, or like a guy's head when they buzz it, you can just tell that there's so many hairs coming, especially on this side because my hair is thinner on this side for whatever reason. So yeah, I can tell that it's all going to be coming in. And sometimes I get really down on myself still, and I might look in the mirror and think, oh my gosh, it's not working. Like, what have I done? It's not working. And then I just look at the pictures and remind myself that it is working. So not only am I growing in new hair, it is replacing some of the hair that I have lost, and it is also causing the current hair follicles I have to produce more hair. So with PRP injections, you can expect to have 2 to 5 hairs coming out of one hair follicle. So it'll strengthen all the existing follicles I have already. Also, another thing he explained to me is that 3 fingers worth is basically 500 hairs. So I got about 1,500 new hairs out of this, which I thought was interesting. And I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I know this is already going to be super long. I'm happy that you have came with me on this journey of a video. And if you are going through something similar, that you learned something and realize that you're not alone in going through this. Next week, I will be coming on here and discussing all of the things that I did to prepare for my PRP injections and what I did during injections and after to make sure I have the most successful results. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.